Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're going to check the reward from the bingo, and that's gonna be Butler Asagi, Manners Make Butler, and of course the skin. But before we start, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. So we're gonna check the whole build with Asagi on tower as well as VR, because you can make this an offensive build or a defensive build depending on how you like your other two support slots. So here we have the skin, as you can see, it is pretty nice. And here we have the weapon. I decided to get the last copy that I needed for the weapon, even though it's 400 gems. It's kind of like a temple, like a limited temple, less than a limited temple, but it guarantees the UR weapon, so it's definitely worth it to spend gems on this. So, what is this weapon going to offer? Reduces all enemies' speed for 2 seconds when using Rakusenka. Trust me, that's not that great to begin with. Like, Rakusenka has this long animation, and yeah, you're gonna have 2 seconds, but like one of those you're gonna recover from the animation because you fall down and you do the attack and then you get back in place, and that's gonna take away like part of the crowd control, but it is not that important. What really matters from this weapon is the other two effects. Increase basic attack damage by 30%. Well, that's impressive. You can do different builds with this depending on what you want to do. I mean, offensively speaking. And the other one says increase critical rate of skills by 30%. So, let's see. So that's the weapon. What about the supporter? The supporter, immunity to slow, yeah, we know that. Increases max HP of human type characters by 30%. That's really good. The immunity to slow is kind of niche, but it's pretty useful when it hits the niche. And the HP increase is amazing. Just by having a couple copies, it's already like if it was 5 out of 5. And if it's 5 out of 5 and you enchant it, this is gonna be incredible. It's gonna make humans super tanky. And they can play the taunter role pretty effectively. So, the extra passive, if you have it on the main, normal melee attacks increases speed by 2% for 4 seconds and stack up to 4 times. That's gonna be great, especially for someone like Asagi or some other melee fast attackers. And the active deals damage to nearby enemies and reduces their speed by 20% for 10 seconds. That's basically another Kojinka, which is pretty good. So, let's see. First of all, let's talk about synergies with the weapon. So, Munica is a skill that you want to use on blue to increase critical rate so that you can then use Rakusenka and deal massive amount of damage with this. If you have the weapon and you're starting the game, it's gonna be pretty effective. Like if you are not high enough, like your level is not high enough, combining Munica with Rakusenka is gonna be devastating with the extra critical rate from the weapon. But if you already have the weapon at a pretty good enchantment level, S level, your character level is already good, then you can just drop Munica, just so that you know. I probably should equip it because mine is not like max out, but I'm not gonna use it right now on this build. Then we have other skills that we can use. Kojinka. Kojinka is gonna be super great if you want to use the basic attack effects, the basic attack increase, damage increase. But there's one little problem, and it's that Gremory didn't change the particle charge by 3% effect, which is not that impressive. Like, we needed like something different. Maybe an attack up, I don't know, anything. Anything, but 3% particles doesn't synergize well with this. Like the speed increase on grid is amazing, and it's unfortunate that blue got the short end of the stick here because red gets 50% duration up, and that's amazing. So yeah, I am not going to use Kojinka because of that, and I'm gonna do something different. Another skill that we can use here is gonna be Senjinka. Senjinka is pretty good because you're gonna get a speed increase. You can pair this with Kojinka. Let's go Senjinka, Kojinka, Rakusenka, and that's a great combo. Especially if you want to do basics, but you can also change Rakusenka for the basic and go pure basics. Like, obviously this deals more damage, but if you prefer to button mash, then using this is fine. The basic enhancer paired with Senjinka is also going to be pretty effective, kind of like basic enhancer Kojinka, but I prefer the speed increase rather than the slow with particle charge. Uh-huh. Munika reduces the defense of the enemy. That's a pretty good attack. If you want to equip it, it's also good. Like, as you can see, there's so many options for combinations with Asagi. I mean, all of her colors are pretty strong. Like, the only demerit is like the animations for Renjinka and Satsujinka are pretty bad, but other than that, the effects are pretty good. So yeah, depending on what you want to do, you may equip Shunshinka, but Shunshinka has a disadvantage, and is that you can not use Rakusenka, and mainly you want to use Rakusenka on a blue build so that you can get HP recovery. If you don't, well, then you can. If you don't need the HP recovery, go for this. It's gonna do a massive amount of damage thanks to the damage increase. So, yeah, you can do any combination of those skills. Trust me. We don't use this because it is a launching attack, you know. But basically, whatever skill that you equip that matches blue is going to be fine. What I'm going to do on this build is that I'm going to use Rakusenka with Senjinka and the basic enhancer. So I increase my speed, I attack, and whenever the enemies gather, I'm going to use the healing skill. That's it. Simple, effective. For supporters, so obviously I'm going to use Asagi, and I'm going to try to hit a lot of enemies so that I can increase my speed. I'm also going to use Felicia, that's pretty good, and Rose. Unfortunately, they are limited, but there's options. If you want to focus on the basic attacks, you can use Kowaru. That's going to be pretty effective. If you're facing human, you can use White. You can use Arabella in case you're fighting bosses. You can use, of course, the big three in case that you're fighting a specific trait. But then it starts to get kind of not that good. You can get Kana. I mean, yeah, she buffs herself a lot, so Kana is kind of viable. You can also get Sakura, Shadow Fairy Sakura, to reduce the damage. You can use Akina to make a tank. But damage-wise, it's not as generic unless you have the limited supporters. These are super great because they're always going to work. Kaoru only works if you do the basics. This only if you fight a boss. The other ones only if you fight the corresponding trait. So you see, there are options, sure, but the other options are not as effective. Like Fuyumi, for example. So, we're using these. These are the customs. My Asagi is, as you can see, 81. These are the stat training. I only have attack and a little bit of HP. Weapons, 5 out of 5, both plus 11. And critical damage, water Magatamas, as you can see, whatever Magatamas in the subslot. And let's test this one. I mean, it's gonna be easy because I have HP recovery, as simple as that. If you have HP recovery, you're not gonna die. Especially with the HP increase effect, even though I don't have like damage reduction, I'm gonna be okay. You see that damage? I love it. Like last time I told you that, who was it? That Phantasma did ultimate levels of damage, but no, it's kind of pure skill damage. Like 1.5 million damage it can do. Which is not ultimate level, so, well, I mean, it is still pretty strong. So yeah, there we go. Nice, nice, nice. And voila! Destroyed. Pretty good for a level 81. And remember, my awakening skills do matter. That's why I am tanky enough. Well, no, like obviously the the supporter helps me out with tankiness, but the awakening skill also help out. Uh, sorry, I had hiccups. Be careful with enemy actions because you might get interrupted. It's not that common, but it happens, especially if there's a bunch of enemies. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on. Like this. Perfect. Nice, 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 nice. If you want to change the skills for any combination, that's okay. I mean, like, as I mentioned, almost every single skill works depending on what you want to specialize. Like speed increase with Senjinka along with Kojinka along with the basic enhancer is a pretty viable build, and both the weapon and the supporter are going to enhance that. The supporter by providing speed increase and the weapon by enhancing the basics. So yeah, you can go for that. You can also go for critical damage, the critical damage skill. Well, the one that enhances your critical rate, along with Rakusenka, and like Munika would be a very good choice so that you increase your damage actually on that combination. You basically guarantee your crit, and then you reduce the defense of the enemy. Well, first you reduce the increase crit, reduce defense of the enemy, then do Rakusenka. That's kind of the combo there. Like there's different ways to do it, and you can do any mixture, and it's gonna work. You could also just treat Rakusenka as a healing skill rather than a damage skill and focus on something else. That's also pretty viable. I really love Asagi. It's a really good character. It is unfortunate that she has fallen out, but she's so versatile for what she is. I mean, she's a year one character, and her renewal wasn't like the greatest. It was pretty basic because, well, it was the first one after all. So even so, she still is pretty viable for what she offers. I know she isn't the strongest, but she's there and you can use her. Now, let's do something. Let's go to VR, and I don't know. I think that I will go to level 70 to make it challenging, yet not extremely challenging because this character is not on the right level. So, like normally I will give her attack Magatamas, but here I'm gonna give her defensive Magatamas. She's gonna be my oops. Wait a moment. I'm gonna change Lapis too, but let's focus on Sakura first because Lapis is also melee. So actually I can just equip. No, Oboro is not. It's like cheating because I want to make Asagi a taunter. So instead I'm gonna equip. Where are you? Astaroth. Yeah, Astaroth has everything equipped perfectly, and it's gonna be 2 range characters and a taunter. So for this character, I'm going to equip defensive Magatamas. Let's see. I mean, I could go for HP Magatamas. But no, I'll go for defense. So, fire and fire. Water and water. Yeah, perfect. All of these are demon. Anti-demon. Nice. And whatever defensive Magatamas here to increase the stats. Nice. Then I'm going to change it, and I mean a lot. First of all, I'm gonna equip Akina, super useful. Let's see. I'm thinking. Like the generic option is the one that I mentioned, Sakura, probably. Reduce damage taken from demons, 24, and this is going to give me 26. And it is not the right kind. Could equip, but I don't have enough copies. Probably one of the best options, but I don't have her with a good level. Um, I guess I'll do a little bit of attack, like to balance things. Oops, I already have this equipped, but I do have Arabella. Nice. Is it the right option? Yeah. I think it is. Now, I don't care about the basic enhancer. She's gonna be all about utility. So she has to equip Munica for sure to increase the damage of my main attackers. Senjinka, speed increase? No. Increase? Yes. No. No, because I gotta keep this one. Even though I'm not going to create the healing, is gonna be useful. Senjinka. Kojinka. Definitely Kojinka. So, she's gonna be a utility tank. That's what we're doing. Because here in VR, as a counter, there's two options. You are an off tank, or you are some kind of utility pick. While you receive all the attention, you're going to also deal debuffs, healing, or something. So she's gonna reduce the speed of the enemy and also reduce their defenses, while keeping tanky and yeah, I have like a ton of HP recovery, a little bit of damage, and defense on the Magatamas. So yeah, that should be it. For the characters, the other characters, this is like perfect. These are the stats. Both weapons 5 out of 5 plus 15. Anti-demon, ice and fire, whatever Magatamas on the subslot. Supernova, Lava Servant, Fire Blast. Arabella, Kirara, Pirate Kirara, and Onigumo. Here, this one is 50, 51, and these are the stats. 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5, plus 15, plus 13. Anti-Demon Wind, whatever Magatamas, Clinging Nightmare, Succubus Whisper, Slash Horror, and Core Phantasma. This one that is 4 out of 5, White Knight Asagi, and Misaki. Yeah, like that. So let's see how tanky my Asagi is. Like, it is 81, and she's gonna perform the counter roll on step 71. Like, I normally farm on 61, so it's supposed to be a challenge, but I don't think that she can withstand the rage of step 100. Not at that level, so let's see, how useful can she be? So first thing, I'm going to use this. I'm going to position myself and... Wait a moment. Why did she... Oh, no. Is that the speed reduction? Really? Like, I thought that it was mind control. It wasn't moving. Pretty good, Asagi. Do your thing, you know? As you can see, it is pretty effective. It is doing what she's supposed to do, so I love it. And now... Yeah, Queen Canelo is not targeting me. Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I'm gonna finish this pretty easily. And as you can see, the other characters have not received that much damage. Asagi is healing herself, so no problem. I have always said it, but I usually don't show her because she's still level 81. But Asagi is an excellent tank on blue. Pretty good. So if you want to use her on VR as a counter, that's the thing. Like, counters have fallen off ever since Oboro received her renewal, because super aggressive builds are more popular now. Super offensive, yeah. Hyper offensive, that's the term. So, I mean, she's great. She's really proficient. And probably she's one of the strongest picks for beginners. People who are still working on characters like Oboro. Because, yeah, everyone is going to work on Oboro. People who are working on their Shisui, their Emily. But they already have, like, maybe Asagi or another starter and two other picks. Like if you have Asagi and two other favorite characters, which are not Oboro, Shisui, or Emily, or Lapis, because Lapis is also pretty viable, then you can just use this strategy. Let Asagi be the tank and use your other characters as a hyper offensive damage dealers, you know? Pretty easy, pretty simple. So, yeah, what do you think about these combinations, guys? Like, I, I mean, there's no point in me showing you all the combinations that you can do with Asagi, because as I mentioned, it depends on what you want to do. Just use Rakusenka as a healing skill and focus on basics like I did. You can do it with Kojinka or Senjinka and the basic enhancer. You can do maybe super offensive with Muika, and then Rakusenka. Super offensive skill damage, yeah. So it's up to you guys. I do not recommend, I mean, you could, but I do not recommend that you go mix, because this one, if you are going to use Rakusenka, you're going to lose that critical damage increase, which is pretty important. But if you change Rakusenka for Shunshinka, you can actually go mix then. So, that's gonna be about it for today, guys. And I'll be seeing you next time. Bye!